What is up, Barnhill family, and welcome back to another Fight Companion live stream. This is the UFC Macau edition. Apologize for being a few minutes late here, guys. Had some technical difficulties. I want to make sure that we are up on all platforms now. Weird start to the main card, right? A nut shot ending in a no contest. We had Perez vomiting in a bucket for the better part of 5 minutes. So really odd beginning to the fight. So if you're just jumping in, say what's up in the chat. We had a few people before the fight was on. What's up, Lingo? What's up, Jay? Hope you guys are still in here. Sorry for the delay this morning. And yeah, let's get into it. Little shot here of Davis and Figueiredo coming in with his family. Let me get the all platforms up. So we are live on Facebook, X, Kick, and of course, where the main chat mostly happens on YouTube. So thank you all for joining. It is a brisk 6:36 a.m. here in Houston. Let me know where you guys are watching from. What time is it where you are? What'd you think of that nut kick? Was the was the no contest the right call in your opinion, or should it have been an immediate disqualification for Sumu Darji? Let me know in the comments. All right, so we got a welterweight bout coming up next. Let me get these images up on the screen. All right, we got Jake Matthews versus Carlston Harris coming up next. Let me put a poll in the chat and see who you guys think is going to win this one. All right. Carlston Harris versus Jake Matthews. What did you guys think of that no contest? Do you think the no contest was the right call, or do you think it should have been a DQ? That was it didn't appear to be that bad of a nut shot, if I'm being honest, just from looking at it optically. But Michael Bisping said that Alex Perez basically said that it went in between the two stones. So we know how painful that is. Jay, what's up, man? He was losing. Yeah. So who is Perez was losing or Sumu Darji? But I the first round was interesting because Alex Perez, and again, I was watching it while I was getting all this set up for the live stream. So I was kind of half watching it and half getting set up. But it looked like Perez was being really aggressive, and Sumu Darji was kind of moving around and using a lot of straights to, sort of evade. Landed a couple shots, and then we had the takedown. It looked like Sumu Darji was working a guillotine choke, but not really much there. But yeah, it's a weird situation, right? The nut shots are more and more of a problem. One of our channel sponsors, Diamond MMA, is the cup brand. And in my opinion, they make the best cups in the game. But I'm telling you, like, if you're not wearing a good cup, and it's amazing to me how many guys, you would think like everybody at the UFC level would wear a diamond or wear something that is like very, very high level protection for the precious family jewels, but they don't. And there's so many guys that are wearing these crappy, cheap, old school cups that don't fit right. And man, not to say that you can't take a bad shot wearing a good cup, but it certainly helps if you have good protection. I'm surprised the UFC hasn't mandated that everybody wears a diamond, because it is kind of the industry standard. Official VOR, what's up? Welcome to the live chat. Especially when the fighters that get fouled almost just got slept like Perez was. Yeah, so is that the way it was going? I missed a lot of the second round. So was it looking like Perez was about to get slept there? Jay, steel cups. Yeah, steel cups are good too. The thing about the steel cups is, and I've worn them a few times back in my Muay Thai days, they're very heavy. They do protect well, and they definitely hurt your opponent's foot if they kick you. But they are heavy, and they kind of tend to weigh down and not stay in place. That's the only problem I've ever had with the steel cups. But I'm partial to diamond. Nick and I were customers of theirs way before they reached out to be a sponsor of the channel. And so we were like actually super thrilled when they reached out, because we're like, yeah, we've spent enough money on y'all's product that we truly believe in it. So it's like an easy fit. But let's see here. Not to be harsh, but Matthews is how many fights in the UFC and still fighting borderline UFC guys? Yeah, I was just listening to a little bit of the build up, and I think it was Bisping that was saying that he's not chasing the rankings. He's just sort of, fighting and letting things unfold. But he's been around the block a time or two. You would think that somebody who's been around for as long as he had, if they're really going to make some sort of push, would already be in the rankings. So we'll see how he looks here. MMA, MK55, also they help you in substitution. Yes. Let's see here. So we got 3 votes in the chat. Matthews has got 2 of them. Harris has got 1. Third tail of the tape right now. If you want to lock in with me, guys, I'll let you know exactly where I am in the fight, and then you can kind of just lock your TV in with that as well. So tail of the tape is what I'm seeing right now. Joe Martinez now announcing the fighters. Coronum, what's up? Thanks for joining the chat. It looks like they barely grazed him. Hope they rebook it. Yeah, that would be the right thing to do, right? Especially as a lot of people were saying in the chat that it was getting close to being a finish there. I missed the second round because I was trying to get all of this equipment set up. So I saw, just sort of out of the corner of my eye, Alex Perez throwing up in the bucket and then the no contest being given. But yeah, I mean, it didn't look that bad. But Bisping was saying that I guess it hit him in between the testicles, and that was what he was telling his corner or telling the ref. But yeah, no fun for sure. All right, so they are announcing Jake Matthews now. Let's see, where's the vote at? Still 67 Matthews, 33 Harris in the chat. Thank you guys, by the way, for being up early and joining the live chat. I appreciate it. Where's everybody watching from? I'm in Houston, so it is, 6:42 a.m. here in Houston, Texas. There's been a lot of early cards lately. It was this one and the Australia card. Both of those, both of those main cards, I think, started around the 6 a.m. time frame here in Houston. Next week, I think we got a regular time, 7 p.m. Central time for Bonfim versus Muhammad. So I'll be there for that as well. Calgary, 5:52, early, even earlier than me, Jay. Calgary, is that Alberta? Calgary, Alberta, Canada, right? All right, here we go, guys. So first round just started, Matthews versus Harris. Matthews being the aggressor here, throwing a couple of big overhands to a jab. Harris sort of evading a bit, exchanging in the pocket. Shots from Harris look a little wide, if I'm being honest. Matthews is looking for that overhand. He's thrown that a few times, and we're only about 30 seconds in. If you remember, that overhand by the, up against the cage is actually what Alex used to get Big Ank out of there. Everybody's so afraid of the hook, and he feinted that hook so well, and then that would cause Ank to dip down to the opposite side, which is where he found that overhand. It looked like Matthews was trying to find. He wasn't setting it up with much. He was sort of just throwing an overhand naked. But if he set that up a little better, he might connect on it, because it seems like Harris is biting on a little bit of his feints here. So Matthews really looking to exchange in the pocket, sort of stepping in and throwing some big hooks and overhands. That was a nice connection on a jab there by Matthews. Jake Matthews now has Carlston Harris against the cage, looking to pummel inside. Harris looking for that half plumb there, grabbing the back of the neck of Matthews. So far, I think this is Matthews' round, 2 minutes in. Harris has looked for some decent counter-striking opportunities, but all in all, it's been Matthews. Oh, nice 1-2 there by Matthews. That wobbled Harris for sure. Harris may be more hurt than he's leading on here. Nice lead uppercut there by by Matthews. Big shots by Jake Matthews. It's a good performance so far for Matthews. No, beautiful lead uppercut again. Nice hook. Yeah, I think Harris may be on the verge here. He's still throwing, looking for a takedown. Yeah, it's the telltale sign that he's hurt, looking for that takedown. Matthews looks really good in the pocket tonight. He's slipping well. He's landing well. Absolutely beautiful straight to a hook. Really nice outing for Jake Matthews so far against the 38-year-old Carlston Harris. All right. Power 2 by Jake Matthews. Harris looking to mount some offense of his own, but just the speed, the quickness, and the accuracy in the pocket is pretty apparent here. Jake Matthews is not really getting hit by much. A lot of the shots by Carlston Harris are looping and a bit telegraphed, if I'm being honest, and Matthews is staying a little bit tighter and defensively sound, which is why he's landing these big shots in the pocket, and Harris is not. What's up, guys? I see some of you trickling into the comments. I'll jump into those in between rounds here. Thanks for being here. I am at 1 minute and 21 seconds left in the first round. All Jake Matthews so far, landed some big shots. Carlston Harris has recovered pretty well, if I'm being honest. He was hurt there mid-round pretty bad. Oh, another beautiful straight, too. We got a bloodied nose of Carlston Harris. Jake Matthews is boxing, and in the pocket, striking has looked really good. 52% there on the stats. 22 of 42 just popped up on the screen. So extremely accurate and powerful tonight is Jake Matthews. Carlston Harris showing some durability, but not really much other than that, to be honest. Beautiful body shot by Jake Matthews. That was the one thing he's been missing, really. When you're looking for a finish, you've got a guy hurt, you're backing him up, you're tagging him. If you just go to that body a couple of times, you can either fold them or get them to drop those hands, and then you find that big shot up top. So I'd like to see Jake Matthews go to the body again. Beautiful rear hook there by Matthews. Nice lead, 2 by Matthews. Slipped well by Harris. 10 seconds left in the round. Looks like we may see round 2 here, but this has been all Jake Matthews so far. All right. Let's jump into these comments. Coronum from North Dakota slept in early to watch the entire card. There we go. I like it. MMA, MK55, and Joe Rogan's podcast with Big Mac. They say the steel cups help you in subs like the armbar. Yes, that is true. I will say I've worn the Diamond Cup for many years now, and it also helps quite substantially with submissions, especially submissions where you're, dragging somebody's arm across your. Because if you think about the armbar, right, the armbar specifically, and it's so low percentage in today's MMA world because it's, one, you can strike on the ground. 2, so it's better to maintain. If you get a dominant position, it's better to maintain it. And when you get an armbar victory, usually you either get it from the bottom position or you're in the mounted position, like we saw Ronda Rousey against Gina Carano. But, higher level guys are going to get right out of that. You have to sacrifice the mounted position and basically grab an arm and lean back. So you're giving up a dominant position for a suboptimal position. But that being said, with the cup, it does help because an armbar in jiu-jitsu, you're actually not allowed to wear a cup in IBJJF jiu-jitsu. I don't know if you were aware, but you have to grapple without a cup on, which means you have to drag that armbar across your inner thigh. And with a cup on, you can drag it right across your twig and berries. And for obvious reasons, you can't do that. You don't want somebody's elbow dragging across your you-know-what when you're trying to finish him. Jake Matthews now in mount, 4 minutes and 33 seconds left in the second round, looking like he's working a triangle position, then abandoning that and walking around to what is now a half guard position. JL, sorry, it sounds like I'm hating on Matthews, but I'm not. No, I get it, man. Yeah, no, your criticisms are fair. He's been around the block. He needs to show up or, show up and show out here. Drizzy Goat, what's up in the chat? I got Gary beating Islam by decision. Interesting. Interesting. I'm curious to see what you guys think. You guys in the chat agree with him, or you think? I think Gary's got a real. I won't say I think Gary's going to win, but I think Gary is a live dog, and I do think it could go to decision. Yes. JL, not much to take from this fight, considering that he's fresh off of losing to Magny. Yeah. Arm bars, heel hooks, and leg locks are so rare. Yes, they are. It's just one of those things where when you can strike and when you're not wearing any fabric, even the no-gi stuff, the guys are wearing rash guards most of the time in jiu-jitsu, which does create some level of friction. And then, of course, in gi, it's a whole different story. It's just the whole game's built off of friction. But this is just a different story. And those submissions that were built for jiu-jitsu, which was originally designed for wearing street clothes and getting in an altercation, so the gi was meant to mimic what a jacket might be like, or what have you. And there are guys who have modified it for the MMA game, and they can get, like Walter Walker can get heel hooks and stuff like that. But unless that's your game, it's so difficult to land one of those submissions. And like you see Jake Matthews here in this half guard position. One of the interesting things to me about grappling in MMA is that in my opinion, the half guard is better than side mount. And you will actually see a lot of guys, Khabib and Islam really were doing this a lot back in the day. And everybody's kind of modified it and taken from it. Excuse me. And that is that they will sit very comfortably in the half guard, because it's easier to control your opponent when you have that far side hip pinned, which the half guard does. And then if you move to side mount, if the opponent's explosive or they have some decent technique, they can get right out, and then you're back to a scramble. So the half guard actually allows you to hang tight where you are and effectively work some ground and pound. So the half guard, very, very useful position. That's one of those other, big differences between what you would consider to be submission grappling and MMA. In submission grappling, you would never sacrifice the side mount position for the half guard, but in MMA, it makes total sense. As you see, Jake Matthews has been dominating this round, and now you make the move when you can go to mount, which is exactly what Matthews did there, and now he's working the back take, looking like a head and arm triangle here. Matthews does need to get that leg out now and walk to he's going to walk to the opposite side if he's going to try to finish this, or he needs to at least get his hands positioning right, and he needs to get both legs to the side that he's doing the choke on. But it does appear that Carlston Harris is intelligently now defending that he has his elbow inside, so the submission is not there how it was just a handful of seconds ago. So nice elbows there by Jake Matthews. Again, all Matthews on the feet in round one, all Matthews on the ground in round two. This has been a totally dominant fight for the better part of 10 minutes so far. Working a Kimura now. See if he has enough space to work it. Matthews looking, he may be using that Kimura just to transition back to mount. He's still on it. But see, this is what I was just talking about with the positional stuff, right? Was that worth it? Was that worth it to sacrifice that top position for a Kimura grip? And now you're on the bottom and you're in a very loose half guard if you're Jake Matthews. I don't think that I would not have advised him to do that if I was his coach. I would have said, stay on top. And our coach, Bob Perez, always says, in MMA, in jiu-jitsu, it's one thing. You can play off the back, you can be in the guard, and it can be 50-50. But in MMA, if you're on your back, you're losing. And, under no circumstances should you sacrifice a dominant position for, a sort of sacrifice position where you go to your back. And that's exactly what Matthews did there. Now, does it matter? No, he won the better part of that round, and he dominated it. So if you want to just take a chance and roll the dice in the last 30 seconds, I can see that. But in normal circumstances, just sacrificing and going to the back for what appeared to be a somewhat loose Kimura grip, I'm not a fan of that. All right, we are in between rounds 2 and 3. All Jake Matthews so far. All right. Round 3 coming up next. Let me see here. All right. We got a few more in the chat. 7 votes. 86% say Matthews, 14 say Harris. Round 3 starting right now. Beautiful lead hook to start the round by Jake Matthews. That actually looked like it hurt Harris right out of the gate. Harris is tough, man. Oh, he folded him there. This fight's about to be over. Ground and pound shots from Jake Matthews. Harris trying his best to just hold Matthews tight to not allow him to have the space to finish this via ground and pound. Jake Matthews in that half guard position again, just like he was at the end of last round. All of last round, rather, I should say. Jake Matthews looking to transition to the mount, and he gets it. Jake Matthews in full mount. Carlston Harris desperately trying to scramble up, but he exposes his back. Matthews now working the body triangle, looking to get that rear naked choke in. He's got 4 minutes exactly to work here. Let's see what Jake Matthews can do with this. He should be able to get Harris out of there with a submission. He's got Harris hurt. He's dominated the fight. I think if he really wants to make a statement win over a 38-year-old Carlston Harris, a domination that leads to a third-round finish would be the way he would need to go. So let's hope that he can find a sub here. JL, if Matthews doesn't get a finish, this will be rough. Yeah, he's had a great performance, but again, we have to consider the opposition. It's an almost 40-year-old Carlston Harris, and you know he's a guy that people were touting as a pretty decent prospect at one point. If you want to continue to be that prospect, and he's been in the UFC long enough now where you're getting to that range of can we really call you a prospect, he needs to get a finish here for sure. Okay, so he's transitioning back to that half guard position. So didn't find what he was looking for with the rear naked choke. He's back in the half guard up against the cage. 2 minutes and 47 seconds to work has Matthews. Jake Matthews again in that half guard position. Harris just doing his best to keep Jake Matthews close on him in an effort to not create that separation where Matthews can find those big shots, but not doing much other than that. The story of this fight for Carlston Harris has really been survival. You know, there's been really no mounted offense. There's been really no answer to what Jake Matthews had. It's just been, let's hear the final bell and not get finished here. And he's doing a decent job of not getting finished. But Jake needs to turn up the heat here. He's got 2 minutes left. He's got this fight in the bag. He needs to find a finish. Couple of big ground and pound shots there for Matthews, but seems like they didn't quite get through the guard of Carlston Harris. I'd almost like to see Jake Matthews let this one stand up for the last 2 minutes. He was having so much success on the feet. You know, why not try to get an emphatic knockout? I don't think Carlston Harris would be that much of a threat at this point, as hurt as he is and as tired as he is, to land that lucky shot. But I get it. He's got the ability for 90 seconds to ride this thing out and cruise to an easy decision. Coronum, Jake has no killer instinct. Should have gotten Harris out in the first round. Yeah, exactly. This fight should have been won in the first round. We're looking at almost 10 minutes of control time when he was tagging him on the feet. This could have been out in the first round. He was landing good shots, good clean shots. So you would love to see a finish here. The way it's looking, it doesn't look like we're going to see it. So again, Jake Matthews is a win over a 38-year-old unranked Carlston Harris. I'm losing my microphone here. Enough to get him into the top 15, which is what Bisping and the crew were saying he's looking for in this fight. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, it's been a dominant performance, but he really needs to solidify a finish here. 26 seconds left. He's got the handcuff with his left hand, working some striking and some ground and pound with his right hand. Again, working a back take here. Looks like he's maybe trying to set up a rear naked choke. It's hard to tell from the camera angle and the orientation of where they are, but there's only 8 seconds left. This thing's going to go to decision. And 5 seconds left, and that is the fight, ladies and gentlemen. So Jake Matthews, very dominant. Carlston Harris, survival mode, start to finish. Absolutely nothing for Matthews whatsoever. What do you guys think? How was that one for you? Was it any 10-8s in there? You could make some case for some 10-8 rounds in there. Be interesting to see the judges' scorecard. Obviously, 30-27 at minimum. I wonder if we'll see a 30-26 or a 30-25. But again, I don't think maybe there was not enough damage done on the ground there, even though there was almost full rounds of ground control. Maybe not enough damage to warrant a 10-8. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. Let me stop this poll now. Obviously, we don't need that anymore. We all know who won, or at least we hope we know who won. What a barn burner. Yeah. It was a good performance by Jake Matthews, right? But not the most exciting fight any of us have ever seen. And I would have loved to see more urgency for the finish there out of Jake Matthews. But all in all, decent performance by him. Got the job done against the guy that he absolutely should have gotten the job done against. All right, we are on advertisement 3 of 3 on the Paramount Plus. So we should be going to decision right after this. And then, guys, I got our signature. It's becoming a staple here on these live streams. I've got another UFC Topps Chrome box. I'm going to open this bad boy up, and we're going to rip some packs in between fights to pass the time. All right, scorecards coming up now. $30-25, 30. So 2 30-27s and 1 30-25. So one judge gave Matthews 2 10-8 rounds. So pretty dominant performance by Jake Matthews. Carlston Harris, you wonder what's gonna happen with him next. Almost 40 years old and losing like that, you could see the UFC take out the scissors. All right. Michael Bisping asking Jake Matthews what do you think. The translator is translating in Chinese to the crowd. Let's hear what Jake Matthews has to say, and then we'll rip one of these packs. Jake saying credit to the opponent, Carlston Harris, for stepping up on 3 weeks short notice. Jake Matthews saying that he's a short notice fighter. He's, okay, so he basically said he played it safe. So he said, this was a short notice fighter. I knew I was up 2 rounds to none. I figured in the 3rd round he was going to come out swinging, so I did the strategic thing and took him back down to the ground. So, yeah, for those that were saying that there's no killer instinct in Jake Matthews, I mean, he basically all but admitted it right there in that post-fight speech. So he said that he guarantees that if he'd allowed the fight back to the feet, Dana would have been sending him the 100K, but maybe next fight. Well, my question is, why did you not go for it? You have a 38-year-old fighter who's very hurt. You've demonstrated that he can't tag you in the pocket. You know, when you're your freshest and you're not hurt and you're seeing clearly and there's not blood in your eyes, there's not sweat in your eyes, your nose isn't broken, that's when you're most dangerous. When you're really compromised, it's, if you can't tag somebody when you're not compromised, it's very hard to tag them when you're compromised, right? And so when Jake says, if I'd have just let the fight back to the feet, I'd have gotten that $100,000 bonus. Why not give it a shot? Why not allow that to happen? And I get it. You want to win the fight. You want to get a W, but it's not going to be something that's going to really perk the interest and get the attention of the fans. So good win for Jake Matthews, all in all. At the end of the day, not one that's going to move the needle tremendously for him career-wise, unfortunately. And we got, all right, Kai Asakura versus Cam Smotherman. So let me get another poll in the chat here. JL wouldn't be shocked if he's cut. Yeah, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either, man, to be honest with you. I think Carlston Harris may have just fought his last fight in the UFC. Who you got in the... This got to be the feature bout already, right? How many fights are we in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, not quite yet. We got one more for the feature bout. Who you got in this one? Asakura or Smotherman? Cool. So let me know in the chat who you guys have. I'm going to open up one of these things in the meantime. But yeah, so Cam Smotherman, Houston fighter. So he doesn't train at Main Street where we train, but we know a lot of the same people, and I know a lot of people that have gone over to the gym and trained with him. He's a good fighter. He trains out of Adrian Yanez's camp. He's still a little green. I saw him fight on the regional scene a few times, and he kind of got away with being heavy-handed and fighting lower level guys that were, just guys that were trying to make a name for themselves on the regional scene, or people that were just sort of checking off a bucket list item of fighting MMA. Those were the types of people that he was fighting, and he was knocking them the hell out. So, he was getting the job done. No shade to him, but in the UFC, he's kind of win one, lose one. He's still heavy-handed, but he's not finding that knockout success so much in the UFC. The biggest thing about Cam, and let me get this back to the chat here. The biggest thing about Cam is he's very green when it comes to his striking ability. Yes, he's got power. Yes, he's got boxing. But when you get up against a high-level guy like a Kai Asakura, I mean, we know how good of a striker Kai is, and we know when he came to the UFC for that immediate title shot, it was grappling that Pantoja opted to go with to get him out of there. So Cam doesn't have that type of tool in his arsenal to go to and get Asakura down. So he's going to try to stand and strike with him, and I think the striking tools are far more stark in the Asakura camp than they are in the Smotherman camp. So my prediction is that we're going to see a knockout by Kai Asakura here. And Cam, I don't know if you guys remember, but in his last fight, he is the one who face planted when he made weight. So he stood on the scale, he made weight, and then he walked off the scale. His legs failed him, his body failed him. He face planted right behind where Michael Bisping and the crew were talking. And the funniest thing about all of that is that Michael Bisping was literally doing a bit about how much he has no sympathy for fighters who can't make weight. It's not that hard. It's not that difficult. And he literally goes, I got no sympathy for these guys. It's not that difficult. Seriously. It was the most timely thing of all time. The moment he said that, Cam falls in the background and face plants in front of everybody. So I don't know if you remember that particular moment, but that was pretty funny. Coronum, if Kai loses this one, there's no more excuses for him, and he'll definitely be heading back to Ryzen. Yes, I totally agree. Cam Smotherman, to me, as again I said, he's a local guy. I know him. I have seen him fight in person on the local scene. He's good against regional opposition. He is not UFC elite level yet. Will he be? He's still a young man. Can he be? Yes, but this is the type of fight that he's not a grappler. He's a striker. He's a boxer. If you put Kai Asakura against Cam and he can't win this one, then he's probably not the level that UFC would like to see him be at to be an elite flyweight. So before this next fight, let's rip this first pack. What do you guys say? We've been having some success with these Topps Chrome 2026s so far. So we pulled speaking of flyweight, we pulled an autograph Josh Van immediately after Josh defended his belt at UFC. What was that? 328. And so he defended his belt, and then in between that fight and the Hamzat Sean Strickland fight, we pulled a pack and we pulled a autograph Josh Van during that time. So that was pretty cool. Here we go. You know him, you love him. Just a base card, but it's Austin Vanderfort. So Mr. Van Zandt himself. I'll put these over here. If we pull a good one, I'll sleeve them up. Here we go, an Australian, kind of getting back in the winning ways and looking to make another title shot run, Mr. Steve Urseg. And we got another flyweight, Amir Albazi. All right, we got our first insert of this pack. An in-your-face Israel Adesanya. Pretty cool looking card. And then it looks like we have a refractor of Lerone Murphy. Ooh, it's a good one. You might know him. He's headlining UFC 329, Mr. Max Blessed Holloway. Also kind of looks like a refractor, but I can't really tell. And Marcus McGee. Fun fighter. Fun bantamweight. And the final one of the pack, Dustin the Diamond Poirier. So some good fighters. Nothing that'll blow your hair back card wise. No no numbered cards, no autos, no nothing like that. But still pretty cool. Let's jump into this comment. Coronum always felt like him fighting at flyweight was a mistake. I think he's going to do bad things to Smotherman. Yes, that is possible. The striking in this, the difference should be very, very stark. So if Kai can't get Cam out of there, I think it's probably safe to say that he's not the elite level striker that we thought he was, at least when you compare it to UFC opposition. All right, so looks like we got one more commercial to go, and we are in the fight. So far, 100% of you in the chat think that Asakura is going to get this one done. I'm curious to know, any Smotherman takers, get your pick in before the fight starts. And if you're just joining now, looks like we got a total of 62 people that have joined. So thank you all so much for being here. I sincerely appreciate it. So Nick and I will do the fight companions together for sort of the bigger fight cards. And then I've been doing the fight nights, these off time ones. And then Nick has got a cool new show that he's been doing on Monday nights called Matchmaking Monday with Nick, where he basically takes the results of the weekend and does a live stream where he's chatting with you guys and giving his thoughts on who each of the fighters, winners and losers, should fight next. That usually runs about 60 to 90 minutes, usually a lot of fun, some good chat in some good conversation in the chat rather. And yeah, those are fun. So make sure you guys tune into those. All right. Kai Asakura now getting the once over by the referee outside the cage, checking the mouthpiece in the cup, and he's in. So just waiting on Joe Martinez to announce them real quick. All right. I'm going to go turn the fan on this camera real quick so my camera doesn't overheat before this fight starts. Give me 1 second. All right, here we go. Introducing Cam Smotherman now. 28 years old. 12-6 record, fighting out of Houston, Texas. Let's see here. Plus 225 underdog here. I feel like he should be a bigger dog, to be honest with you. Kai Asakura should be able to get this one done. Let's see here. Let me jump back into the comments. Solid card. Can't wait to see McGee back next week. Sucks that Wilk has pulled out. Think he gets it done against Giannis. Yeah, it's a cool card. Yeah, and I do think he gets it done against Giannis as well. JL Kai going 0-3. That would be really bad. He'll be heading right on back to Ryzen if that's the case, or maybe old Scott Coker will call him up and bring him into whatever he's got going on. I'm curious to know what you guys think about that, Scott Coker getting back in the game. I think it's kind of interesting. He wants to focus on the tournaments, try to build talent. Here we go. We'll jump more into that after this fight's over. 5 minutes left in round one, 4:53 to be exact, 2-1 if you want to lock in with where I am. Leg kick right out of the gate for Kai Asakura. Cam Smotherman sort of playing the outside, bouncing around. You can tell he's respecting the striking of Asakura here because Cam, even from when I've seen him fight on the regional scene, he comes right across the cage and takes the fight right to you. So he's showing more respect right out of the gate here to Asakura than I have seen in my recent memory of Cameron Smotherman. Okay. Kai Asakura looking to come in with a 2-3. He threw a head kick that was defended pretty well by Cam. Cam still looking around to see where he can find his entry point. So far, nothing really doing for either guy. Asakura's thrown a big head kick, but it didn't land, and then he threw a 2-3 that was probably the most significant combo of the fight, and it landed not flush, but sort of halfway landed. 1 minute sort of expired at this point. Kai looking huge. Yeah, Kai looks big, doesn't he? He looks bigger than I've seen him. Nice counter jab there by Cameron Smotherman off of a nice strike there by Asakura. I'm going to shut this window here. I've got the sun blaring through the window right now. There we go. That's a little bit better. Yeah, the sun's coming up here in Houston. Oh, wow. Great combo by Asakura. Oh, Cam is down and out. Yeah. Out cold. That is what I was talking about, guys. No disrespect to Cameron Smotherman. Like I said, I am a Houston guy. I always cheer for our local fighters. Joshua Van, Adrian Yanez, Yadier Del Valle, Derek Lewis, the list goes on and on. But I also keep it real. Cameron Smotherman, from what I saw on the regional scene, was a pretty decent boxer who wasn't afraid to take it to lower level opposition, and he found knockouts. Kai Asakura is a different level of striker. And so that's exactly what we just saw here. Oh, my mic audio is having problems. Sorry, let me see if I can turn this up. Is it just not loud enough, Coronum, or is it like going in and out? Let me know in the chat. Sorry about that. Yeah, Cameron got dusted. Wow. Yeah, that was something else, wasn't it? Let's see what this was here. So Cam stands back up, and then a big hook, overhand to a hook again. That hook was what put him down. Boom. And then one big shot on the ground. Good on the ref there to get in there and stop it quickly. So Cam didn't take too many more shots on the ground there. But yeah, just good. Okay, thank you. Thank you for letting me know, Coronum. Good awareness there and good shot selection. What that was there was a massive skill disparity in the striking. Like I said, Asakura has been exploited in grappling, but Cameron Smotherman really doesn't have grappling. He's a boxer. He's a boxer who, is not afraid to mix it up. And, when you mix it up with a guy who's way, way, way better than you can find some trouble. Kai versus Talbot. Sign me up, man. I love it. I actually love that fight. How do you think that fight would go? You think Kai can beat Talbot? Talbot's good, man. I do like Kai at 135 better. He looked more full-framed. He looked less frail. I didn't like how he looked at 125, if I'm being honest. I think that at this point in his career where he is age-wise and, with the mileage he has, cutting to 35 is the way better option for him. Steady Frequency, thanks for joining the chat. How do you think Kai does against the top 15? Bantamweight's a great division, but Kai's a really, really good striker. So I think it depends on who he gets paired up against. I think there's some guys there that he could really give some trouble to, but then you get in there with, like, let's say, for example, an Umar Nurmagomedov who can strike basically to the level or better that you can strike, but also has that grappling ability. I think Pantoja showed us that there's somewhat of an Achilles heel with Asakura, and that is his ability to grapple. So I think he may run into trouble with the grappling. I think if you put him against a really good striker, he may have some success. Like who is that suggested that? Jay, like a Peyton Talbot. I think that'd be a really fun fight. I think that fight could go either way. I think the odds on that would reflect basically like a pick'em fight. So I think he can do well, to answer your question. I don't know if he can become champion at bantamweight just because it's such a stacked division. JL, not sure how much this says. Cameron isn't UFC level. I agree. I have actually seen Cameron lose in Fury. I was there when he lost in Fury one time, and it was to a guy that was I think it was a crafty grappler, but the fellow was old. It wasn't like a UFC prospect or anything like that. This dude was like my age, like 37, 38 years old, going out there and just having some fun. And I think he submitted Cam or he wrestled him the whole time, if I can remember correctly. Steady Frequency says, think he still has big gaps in his grappling, though. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing for Asakura is going to be the biggest what if for him at bantamweight is going to be how good he can defend how well he can defend the takedowns, because there's some phenomenal grapplers in the division. JL, Vera is still ranked in the top 15. Yeah, I guess I should pull up the rankings. Let me pull up the rankings real quick. UFC rankings. So if I'm looking at the rankings here, okay, we got Peter as the champion, and then you got in order Merab, Umar, Sean, Sanhagen, Song, Ayman Zahabi, Davison, Mario Batista, David Martinez, Chito Vera at number 10, Peyton Talbot at number 11, Vinicius Oliveira at 12. But I think Vinicius is moving to 45. Chiwiwi Rosas Jr., Hayoni Barcelos, and Farid Bashrat. So are there some guys in there that I think that Kai Asakura could give some trouble to? Definitely. I think Chito Vera is definitely one of them. I think Peyton Talbot, Davison Figueiredo for sure. Different striker. So, interesting, Raul Rosas Jr., because that would be very much a striking versus grappling matchup where I think there is some real headway that needs to be made for Chiwiwi when it comes to striking. The same can be said for Kai when it comes to grappling. So that would be fun. Who could implement their game plan? But to answer your question, I do think he can do okay at the top 15. I don't know that with his current skill set, he can ever become champion, though. Let's see here. MMA MK55. Yes, Kai looks good, but his fights against Tim, he was so scared of the takedown, and in the bantamweight against grapplers is going to be bad for him. Yes, the grappling is going to be his issue. Kai is really good, but bantamweight is super stacked. He can be exploited in the grappling department. Yeah, that's kind of the general consensus. I think we all kind of agree with that. So if Zahabi somehow beats Sean, split decision is the best chance. Would he be fighting for the belt next? Let's go back to those rankings for a second. So you got to do Merab versus Peter. Let's see. Ayman Zahabi versus Sean. So let's see. In the top 5, we have Merab, Umar, Sean, Corey, and Song. So Song's fighting tonight. I don't think Song, even regardless of outcome, I don't think Song's putting himself in a title fight with a win over Davison. So he's out. Sean will be back in a title fight if he beats Zahabi. But can you say the same for Zahabi? I guess it depends on what you do with Umar and Corey. That would be the two. Just looking here, Umar sitting at number 2 and Corey sitting at number 4. So what do you do with Umar and Corey would be the big question. Does, do they fight each other? I haven't seen any announcements come out on that. Any news on Umar and Corey, either one of them, who they're fighting? Maybe I'm just drawing a blank here. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Corey is fighting Mario. That's right, Mario Batista. So so that could be one that where is Batista? Okay, so he's number 8. So that's an interesting one. Corey could cement himself or certainly put himself in the conversation with a win over Bautista. Bautista sitting at number 8. I don't know that he would get a title shot off a win, but I guess it just depends on what shakes out. So I'm leaning towards Ayman Zahabi getting a title shot if he beats Sean. The only 2 people I think could take it from him would be Umar and Sandhagen, depending on how Sandhagen looks against Mario Bautista and what Umar is doing next. I haven't seen any Umar news recently. Let me know if you guys have seen anything. We got an advertisement here of Pereira at the tire shop. This must be a Freedom 250 ad. So we got to rip another pack here, guys. Imagine Zabi somehow won it. Sean versus Ayman was said to be a title eliminator. Yeah, and that is what they're saying. But I think that I do think that Corey and Umar could make a play. But I think the likelihood of that, I think Sean, if he wins it, it's going to be a guarantee. I think if Zahabi wins it, it's going to be kind of how did he win it and which way is the wind blowing? Because the UFC has said before it's going to be a title fight, but or a title eliminator. Sorry, and it wasn't. So let's rip this next pack before the feature bout. So we've got welterweight Carlos Leal. Cool card. We've got, we're just talking about him, Chiwiwi, Raul Rosas Jr. And we got our first numbered card of the night, guys. We have 59 of 150 of Nurlston Ruz. I always pronounce his last name wrong. Ruziboev. So we have the blue numbered 59 of 150. So that's going to go over here to get put in a sleeve. And then I like these Allen and Gunter, the throwback cards here. So we have Omar Sy, Allen and Gunter 2025. So try to get that in focus there. There we go. And we've got, oh, cool, Alex Pereira. So we got a nice Alex Pereira landing a kick against Big Ank there. A champion, Mackenzie Dern. Let's see. Another former champion, Juliana Pena. And to round it off, we have a Bruna Brazil. Get that bad boy in focus. There we go. Cool. So let's see here. If Song wins him versus Umar, yeah. But how quickly can they turn him around? Because it's been a minute since Umar has fought. So I'd love to see Umar get a fight before a turnaround for Song, because you're thinking Song at minimum is going to need 4-month turnaround. Basically a month to recover, presuming he takes some level of damage, and then a 3-month training camp. So I think it depends. I would like to see Umar back a little bit sooner than that. Let's see here. I think the fact that Zahabi being ranked in the top 6 is already a great accomplishment for his age. Yeah, totally. He's not a young fella. And bantamweight is not a division where it really favors the young fellas at all. So that is a feather in his cap. I think the UFC will do Umar versus Merab 2, and they will say Peter Yan is injured, Peter Yan injury, and then we'll do Peter versus Sean 2. Maybe. So would that Umar versus Merab then be for an interim belt, or would it, if they're claiming injury for Peter Yan, is that sort of what you're thinking, or what? Let me get the heavyweight banner up here. There is no Cameron Smotherman, Kaya Sakura fight going on anymore. There we go. Sergey Pavlovich, Taliesin Teixeira. This one's interesting, guys. I'm going to put this in the chat. Who you got in the feature bout? Teixeira, Teixiera. These names challenge me at times. My spelling has gotten so much better since I have become a UFC fan. All right, so Let's see here. Interested to see who you guys think is going to win this one. Sergey Pavlovich, kind of just playing around at the top for years now. A lot of people thought he was going to be a real title threat, potentially even a belt holder. Had some losses, but he's still very dangerous. The dude's powerful as hell. I mean, extreme power out of Pavlovich. So him versus Teixeira, we did see Teixeira get knocked out by Derek Lewis not that long ago, but then he came back and defeated Tai Tuivasa. Most recently, and why I like, if you're a fan of Teixeira and want to see him win tonight, what you probably are happy about is the fact that he's been training with Alex Pereira, it seems like, for the better part of the last couple of months. So how is that going to factor into things when you have Glover overseeing your camp? You're training with the champion, the 2-division champion, who's going up to try to make history. You're one of the main sparring partners for him, so you can't get better rounds than that. And Alex Pereira is certainly a faster and cleaner striker than Sergey Pavlovich. Is Pav maybe a little bit more powerful? I don't know. But certainly Alex has got the power, and he's got the ability to shut the lights out. And they would look like they were training and exchanging some big shots. So very interested to see how this one goes. I'm still taking Pavlovich. I think Pavlovich is just a little bit better. I think Teixeira showed the susceptibility to the knockout when he fought Derek Lewis. And, beating Tai Tuivasa is great, but everybody's beaten Tai Tuivasa in the last couple of years. So I think I still got a KO for Sergey Pavlovich is my prediction. Let me see what you guys are saying here. All right, we got 80-20 so far. 80 for Pavlovich, 20 for Teixeira. Let's see. The White House card is in 2 weeks. Yes, it is, and I cannot wait. Everyone in bantamweight is booked already. Umar's best choices are Martinez, Talbot, or Rosas. Yeah, and I would like his chances against all of them. Umar versus Merab for number one contender. Yeah, you could do that rematch for the number one contenders fight, and then what would you do then? Just wait to see what happens in 2 weeks with Sean and Amen. But the question is, do you guys think Peter Yan has a fight? Because maybe they're waiting to announce that. Maybe that would be the co-main for 330 if Islam is going to be the main. I'm wondering if they already have, if they already have a fight for Peter and they're just waiting to announce it. Damn, no need to throw shade at time. Well, I mean, just being honest, dude, like he's what, 0-7, and I think, when was his last win? It's been a handful of years. So, no, I like Ty, right? And I even said I'd like to see him go to bare knuckle and fight there. I think Ty's hands are his best weapon, and he's good at close range. He just can't grapple. And so why not go to a sport that will fully embrace his fighting style and his abilities in bare knuckle BKFC? But, beating Tai Tuivasa in MMA and then going up against Sergey Pavlovich is that's a stretch. That's a big jump up in competition, to say the least. Pav is going to put his lights out, very possible. Let's see, they will announce Umar versus Merab soon. Then after Sean wins, they'll announce Sean versus Yan. Very possible as well. That's probably the route that they're going. Merab deserves a title fight straight away, in my opinion. Yeah, Merab has done enough. I mean, how many times that guy he had 4 defenses, 3 of them successful in 1 calendar year or something like that. Yeah, you got to give the guy his due, right? He deserves the opportunity to get a rematch. Maybe that's what they're waiting to announce. And then Sean versus, maybe that'll be the co-main at 330. And then the winner of Sean versus Amen will fight the winner of Merab versus Yan too. Who knows? Or Merab versus Yan 3, actually. Sorry about that. They promised Merab a trilogy. That's absolutely right. They did fight when a belt was not on the line. All right, let's check this poll here. Still 80-20 for Pavlovich. This one might be a quick one, guys. Those of you taking Pavlovich, you think it's going to be a knockout? Is that what we're thinking here? That's kind of, I'm thinking, Pavlovich, if he's going to get this victory, it's going to be early, and it's going to be probably first round KO. But if Taliesin can take it to the later rounds, could make things interesting, could work some grappling. Who knows? We'll see. Teixeira looked horrible in his last two fights, went life and death with Ty. Sutherland looked way better on short notice. Yes. Yeah, and Sutherland, when we talked about him, and no shade at him either, but he really only beats regional level people. And when you see I think it was Bellator, when he went to Bellator, he lost. And then I think he went to PFL. I can't recall. Some other organization that was like a step up organization, he lost, and then he got in the UFC and he lost. And so the only person in the UFC that he beat was Bam Bam. So it just kind of shows you that he's not really at that level. Tai Tuivasa that. So Sergey Pavlovich actually looking kind of trim for Sergey. He's usually a little bit heavier. I'm interested to see what his weight is tonight. So we got both men in the cage. God, it's ridiculous how tall Taliesin looks, and only 26 years old. So he's a pretty big underdog, plus 425 dog here. I don't think that's horrible for those that are taking Taliesin. That's some decent action on the underdog there. But I think this is too big of a step up in competition. Pavlovich versus Francis would have been fun. Yes, it would have. That would have been a wild swinging fest, and somebody's lights would have gotten shut out. All right, introducing Taliesin Teixeira, 6'7", 250 pounds. Dude, his full shoulder is above the top of the cage. I feel like he's taller than 6'7". Yeah, I got to go back and watch old Stefan Struve fights and see how much taller he was in the cage. If Taliesin is that much taller, Stefan Struve, his must have looked like his waist was at the top of the cage. So he struggles against Ty, who's unranked, and then gets number 3, Pavlovich. Exactly. This is a massive step up in competition. So I think it could be a very short night for him. All right, here we go. Sergey Pavlovich just gets announced. I will let you guys know when the fight starts so you can lock in with the time stamp if you would like to with me. Only heavyweight matchup of the night. The big boys are getting it on now. All right, fight starting right now, and I will look at the clock. Okay, 4:56. 4:56 left in round number 1. Kick up the middle for Taliesin Teixeira. Both guys sort of feeling each other out at distance in the middle of the octagon. Outside leg kick for Teixeira. And my TV is freezing a little bit. That's not ideal. Okay, we are back in action. Don't fail me now, Paramount Plus. After all the crap I talked about ESPN Plus, Paramount has been pretty good. Oh, big shots for Pavlovich. Teixeira's down. And that is it. Sergey Pavlovich, in less than 1 minute, knocks out Taliesin Teixeira. Wow. Yeah, Teixeira he can't handle the power. That's his susceptibility. Derek Lewis, Sergey Pavlovich, you get him in there against a guy with power, and he is donezo. Wow, great win for Pav. And Pav's got to be back in that conversation for title fights. He can't help who he's fighting. They put him up against a guy who, 15. I mean, hell, most people wouldn't even take that fight. But he obviously was. So overhand is what got the party started. Overhand to the neck, boom, straight to the chin. That turned the head. Overhand again on the top of the temple. 2 overhands and a straight. 2-piece and a soda. Pavlovich, absolute domination of Taliesin Teixeira. Look at this overhand. Boom. Yeah, those are the ones that mess up that equilibrium. That was what knocked him down. But I think it was that straight that turned that head that was really what got the party started. And then let's see here. Good job on the ref. 1. Looks like 1, maybe 1.5. Absolutely brilliant performance by Sergey Pavlovich. Just a clean, calculated ass whooping on the feet. Basically 3 key strikes that won the night for him. JL, horrible matchmaking. Agreed. And this is the problem, right? When you have a young man, like, it is not crazy to say that Teixeira is 4 to 7 years away from his prime. The guy's 26 years old, right? Why are we feeding him the number 3 contender in the division who we know has extreme power? We saw him against Derek Lewis. He got knocked out in the first round just the same. I can't remember who did it faster. I think both of them were in the first minute. And so when you think about matchmaking and building the longevity of a fighter, he's now been brutally knocked out by Derek, and he's been brutally knocked out by Sergey. So what's the point in all that? Why would you put the number 15 guy against the number 3 guy? I don't understand that matchmaking. So you have Taliesin Teixeira at 15. We had Brando Perikic at number 14, Walter Walker at number 13, Marcin Tybura at number 12, Ante D'Elia at number 11, Terrell Fortune at number 10, and then Derek Lewis, his other foe, at number 9. So any of those in the top 10 to 14 would do. Fortune, Ante, Tybura, Walker, Perikic. So what was the reason that you would do that to a guy who's only 26 years old, which is a baby for the heavyweight division? I don't know. Bad piece of matchmaking. And if this guy keeps getting knocked out like this, he's going to find himself in real trouble. So let's see here. Damn, where does Pav go from here? I don't know. I mean, he can't go anywhere but up. So Cyril is fighting Alex. So obviously the winner of that will get Tom. So he may have to fight down like a Waldo or like a rematch with a Volkov, or dare I even say Josh Hokett if he beats Derek Lewis. So yeah, I mean, it's like good company move for Pavlovich to accept that fight, even because I guess he needed a fight and everybody else was already booked up, but really weird matchmaking on the UFC's part. All right, Bisping in the cage. Thanking China as Pavlovich. Heavyweight is trash. Since Ngannou left, he's the heavyweight GOAT. Yeah, it would have been nice to see him stick around. Lewis KO'd him 4 seconds faster. Thank you there. Thank you there, Corona. MMA MK. I didn't see SHIT. Yeah, that was a quick one. If you blinked, you missed it. WTF happened. What happened was the UFC made a horrible match, number 15 versus number 3, against a guy who's proven he's susceptible to the knockout, and put him in there against the. When was that Pav knocked Derek out too? Because we saw this guy get knocked out in the first minute by Derek Lewis, and they're like, you know what? This would be a great piece of matchmaking. Why don't we take the guy that knocked out Derek Lewis and put him in there with him? And it's 12 positions up in the rankings. It makes no sense. Yeah, heavyweight ain't great. Do you guys think that the heavyweight division is getting better? Because Gable Stevenson's coming in, Pereira's coming in, Josh Hokett is, whether you love him or you hate him, he's definitely becoming a polarizing figure, but he's also very good. The skills are backing up the antics. So curious, are you guys optimistic or pessimistic on heavyweight over the next 3 years? And do you think Gable Steveson will be the champion within the next 3 years? Sergey Pavlovich speaking in Russian again. We'll wait for the translation. Okay, he wants the winner of Alex versus Gon. So yeah, unlikely, right? Because we don't know what's going on with Tom Aspinall. Now, Eddie Hearn has asked for Tom Aspinall's release from the UFC. So we'll see what, I don't think that Dana White is just going to say, yeah, no problem, he can get released. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with Tom Aspinall. I expect Tom to come back and fight the winner of Alex versus Cyril. So that does kind of leave Pavlovich in no man's land. All right, Sergey Pavlovich. Let's get this graphic off the screen, shall we? And we are already at the co-main event. Zhang Minyang and Alonzo Minfield. Let me get this thing up on the screen. And let's end this poll and get another poll up. And then we will rip another Topps Chrome pack, guys. Infield or Zhang. Cool. We are in business. Co-main event up next, guys. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for being here early for most of you. I know it's early for me. What time is it now? 7:45 a.m. on a sunny Houston day. Co-main event coming up. All right, another White House ad here. Yo, bro, it's been a while. How you guys doing? Constantinos, good to see you, my friend. I'm doing good, thank you. I'm doing really good. So just been, working hard, grinding, growing the channel, stuff like that. So we've been adding a lot more live shows. We've been doing Monday. Nick has been doing Monday matchmaking. So he'll take all the fights from the previous week and winners and losers and kind of give his thoughts. And we put the graphics up on the screen as to who he thinks they should match up with next. I've been kind of doing these live streams of the fight nights and the off time ones by myself. And then of course we do the big ones together. And then aside from that, we're just trying to put out as much content as humanly possible. Balancing that with day jobs and the responsibilities of life. But I've been watching your vids, but always miss the streams. Yeah, dude, I know you're in London, right? If I recall. So it's I know the time is a little bit different. So the streaming, I certainly understand that, but this should be better for you today. What is it? 6 hours ahead of Central Time? So what would that be? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. What is it? 1:47 your time? Let me know if I did that right. All right, let's rip this this Topps Chrome pack here in between fights. We're watching in 1:47, right on the nail. All right. Cody Steele, not Houston, but Texas guy, Austin, Texas, moved to Vegas now. But this is a rookie card. So rookie Cody Steele could be interesting if Cody does make it to the big time someday. He looked really good in his last fight. You guys know this guy. You know him and you love him. Here he is landing a big body kick against the champ, Raw Dog, Brandon Royval. I almost said Josh Royval. Josh Van and Brandon Royval. Everyone here is going to watch the Champions League final today. Dude, I'm going to show my ignorance right now. Who's playing in that Champions League final? I see people talking about it. We are getting fed so much, I will say football, as to not disrespect you on this live chat. We call it soccer. But football stuff is on our TV right now because of the World Cup that is upcoming. Houston, my hometown, is one of the host cities. I think, don't quote me, I think we have Germany and one other big one. I want to say Mexico that are playing some games here. And then we also have a playoff game. So it's going to be, I think, 1 or 2 playoff games. So Houston is being taken over by the World Cup right now. It's actually kind of terrible because they're closing so many streets. Like traffic downtown has been pretty awful, but they're trying to get the last few things ready. So Paris Saint-Germain versus Arsenal. Cool. Do you have a preferred team? Do you care? Who do you think is going to be the winner there? We got a rookie card, Navajo Sterling, by the way. The rookie cards are pretty cool. We got our first insert of the pack, and it is another White House fighter, Mr. Bo Nickel. What does that one say? Impact insert. Spurs beating Thunder today. Let's go. Yeah, let's go. The Knicks are waiting. So who do you think you think it's gonna be the Spurs versus the Knicks? And do you think that the Spurs are gonna take them? Here we go. A Macy Barber. Looks like a refractor there. Refractor Macy Barber. And it looks like a refractor Brian Ortega as well. That's pretty cool. We pulled one of those black and white Ortegas in the last pack. That was last week or last time we did a live stream. Former champion Brandon Moreno. and JDM, former champion Jack Della. So lots of former champs in this pack here. All right. Let's see here. I mean, I'm not a big football watcher, but this one will be as high level as it can get. Yeah, I mean, I would assume the Champions League final would be, the highest level football that could be on display. I mean, that would be my assumption, but I'm certainly no football guy either. I got Wimby for the chip, bro, all the way. Nice. All right. So far in the chat, 100% of you guys taking Zhang to win this one. Zhang Minyang, 100% finish rate. Look at that. 7 losses, but of those 19 wins, 100% of them have been by finish. Thank you, Konstantinos. Zhang, easy money, my brother. There we go. Thank you so much, and thank you for the tip. I really appreciate it, my friend. I'm glad you're back in the live stream chatting with us today. We got Pat Barry. Pat Barry saying Alonzo Minfield's making some big improvements, understanding his capabilities and making some technical improvements. Pat likes Minfield's chances. Of course, all the stuff you would expect to hear out of the coach of an individual fighter. So, Pat Barry is now back under, Alonzo Minfield is back under the tutelage of Pat Barry. Are you and your bro Canadians? No, we are Americans, my friend. We are from Georgia, to be more specific. Savannah, Georgia is where we grew up in the South. It's a cool little city right off of the coast of the Atlantic Ocean, about 90 miles north of the Florida border. For the last decade, we have lived and made Houston, Texas home. I've been to Canada a few times. It's beautiful up there. And where have I been? I've been to Montreal, Toronto, random small city called Petawawa. I think it's outside of Toronto by a couple of hours, if I recall correctly. I've been on both sides of Niagara Falls. Where else have I been? I think that's it. I think that's all. Mostly Eastern Canada. I've never been to Western Canada, but I'd like to go. Let's see. This is out of context, but I really see Gon winning a comfortable decision against Chama, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know if you saw Konstantinos, but we put out our deep dive video on that fight where we kind of broke it down from a striking, grappling, and intangible perspective. I really enjoyed that video. It's one of my favorite ones that I've done in a little while because we really got to get into, obviously, the biggest section of that video was the striking section. We certainly talked grappling, but we don't think that's going to be where the fight's going to take place. But breaking down that match from a striking perspective was one of the most fun times I've had on camera in a little while. And that's one of my favorite videos that I've done in recent memory. If you haven't seen it, you watched the whole one. Thank you so much. Yeah, yeah, I'm glad you watched it. Thank you. And what did you think? Steady frequency. Out of the Barnhill brothers, who wins in a fight? Dude, let me be honest with you, and I'm the older brother here, so I do have that to my advantage, but Nick is a pro fighter. So Nick, for sure. Nick is 6 years younger than me. When we got into fighting, I was, 38 now? I was probably 26, 27. And so Nick was like 19, 20 at the time. So he kind of like went the more serious route. He started training MMA. I was doing just jiu-jitsu for the longest time. And then Nick started training MMA and jiu-jitsu and really like locked in his boxing and his kickboxing. And he's really crisp on the feet. He's got one pro boxing match. He won that by knockout in the second round. He's preparing for an MMA match right now. So definitely Nick. I am not too proud to say I could get my ass kicked by my younger brother, but I think that we're going to do there's some game show competitions. I don't know if you guys know Long Island Luke. And he's got this YouTube channel where he does competitions it's basically like Jeopardy, but MMA trivia. So I will be kicking Nick's ass in that if we get selected. So Long Island Luke said he's going to take a look at our stuff. and let us know, when he'd like to have us on. So there are some things that Big Bro can still win, but unfortunately, fighting is not one of them. Good question, though. Thank you for asking. Drizzy Goat, good stuff. Enjoy your UFC breakdowns on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you, my friend. I'm glad you're having fun watching them. No way, you're 38, boss. You look 32 of the oldest. Well, thank you, my friend. That's very kind of you. I appreciate that. I try to keep myself in good shape. I go to the gym. I go train. I have a 3-year-old. My wife's pregnant with our second child on the way, so I don't really have a choice but to stay in shape, man. I'm on my toes. I work a full-time job and I do this, and I got a family, so I have I don't think I have the opportunity to really get out of shape, to be honest with you, man. But thank you. That's very kind of you to say that. You can see some gray hairs starting to pop in here. That's the only sign that can kind of give away my age a little bit. But other than that, I try to stay fit. Thank you, my friend. Congratulations. Thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate it. Yeah, another boy. So I am proving to be a boy dad. So who knows? I think we'll go for one more. Maybe that'll be the girl. All right. Minifield is now walking out. So at least we get to see the walkout. So it looks like the way Paramount is doing these fight nights is you're not seeing the walkouts because of commercials for all the fights, except for tonight, at least the co-main. And then I would assume the main would be the same as well. So we're seeing Minifield come out now. Let's take a look in the chat. So far, 7 votes in the chat, 100% for Zhang. Interesting. So yeah, Minifield, I don't think many people are giving him much of a chance here. Pat Barry giving his final instructions to Minifield. The ref is going to do the once over, and then the blue corner will be in the cage. Let's see here. Zhang's lost to Askar Mazarov, who had a fake/padded record, is crazy. Mazarov also lost to Minifield in his one and only UFC fight. Maybe he was paid to lose that fight. Maybe, yeah. There's all kind of crazy stuff going on now, man. Did you guys see that Ray J? And I forget the guy who was fighting on that Aiden Ross brand risk, like super hot fire or something, super hot sauce or whatever his name is. And then Ray J got knocked out, and he was like, "Man, we all took an L. I can't believe you didn't follow the script." Right? He said, I mean, he basically was like incriminating himself on camera, and the commentator was like, "Dude, I don't know what you guys got going on, but I suggest you take the conversation to the back, because right now you're basically committing a felony in real time on live stream and admitting to it." So weird stuff with the betting and the gambling these days, unfortunately. Congratulations. Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much. We're looking really forward to having our second child. So it's going to be a lot of fun. My goal is to, and we're getting there one step at a time, is to make MMA content my full-time job. Right now, my full-time job is I sell real estate in the Houston area, and I'm very fortunate to be able to do that and do well enough with that to where my wife can stay home with our son, and then now in October, both of our sons. So I'm trying to, we're strategically putting some things together. We have some sponsors, we have some revenue coming in, and we were able to get Chris, our brother who's off camera, who's the editor, out of his job, and so he's editing full time for us, and we were able to replace his salary. So that was kind of the first move, and because once I have the ability to do this full time, I'm going all in. I'm going to take plane trips to go interview fighters, and I feel like I can bring their stories out and stuff like that. But it's going to be a little bit of a process. So, hopefully by the end of 2026, I will be able to comfortably leave my full-time job and still support my family and do MMA content on a full-time basis. That is the goal. Konstantinos, I don't understand how Teixeira got number 3 ranked Pavlovich after beating like number 15 ranked Tai. Yeah, that was what we were chatting about too. I think it may have been just right before you jumped into the chat. But yeah, that's insane matchmaking, because Derek Lewis got knocked out by Pavlovich. Derek Lewis is 6 or 7 positions back in the ranking, and he knocked Taliesin out in the first minute of the first round. So you have a 26-year-old prospect who's showing some promise. Excuse me, the allergies and pollen in Houston today is pretty gnarly. You have a prospect who just got back on his feet with a win. He's now ranked at number 15. Why in the world are you going to put him in there with one of the heaviest handed guys that's 12 positions up in the rankings to just send him right back out of the rankings again when you got a 26-year-old heavyweight? Let the guy cook. 26-year-old is like a newborn for heavyweight. Let's see. By the way, I'm going to UFC Belgrade. My Serbian friend invited me a few days ago. I'm really hyped. Yeah, that dude, I would love to see Medic fight in person. That guy's my dark horse for title challenger in 2027. You can mark that down on this live stream. UFC Macau, May 2026. I think Medic could be fighting for a title by the end of 2027 if he continues the way he's going. That guy is really, really something special. Let's see here. I've been struggling, got injured working out, no breaks or tears, but my thumb is still swelling and I can't do many workouts for 2 weeks. Now it's tough. No rush, not rushing the rehab. That's it, dude. You can't rush the rehab. When you do, you end up staying out longer than you anticipated. That's the what's that? The Hamzat Chimaev thing when he wanted to go back to training right after he got COVID, and then he ended up having to stay out for months. There was some kind of agreement behind closed doors. Supa and Ray J. Aiden isn't stupid enough to rig his own events, but the fighters he brings in are. Yes, I totally agree with that. Aiden Ross is, he's doing some big things. Whether you like the streamers or not, that guy's really doing some things that are drawing some attention and some eyeballs, and he's making a lot of money. Aiden Ross, I saw somewhere that he got like a $90 million deal from Kick. So there's no way he's risking, that type of money for foolishness on his cards. So I totally agree with you. And I liked when he came out and said, we're investigating it right away. He didn't hide behind it. He said, we're going to investigate this, and anybody involved in fight fixing is going to be cut and never fight on brand risk again. So good on Aiden for that. I think these idiots were just trying to make a fast one. And, a concussed Ray J confessed to a crime on camera. I don't know, any lawyers in the chat, if you confess to something but you're concussed, can that hold up? That'd be an interesting one. I'm not saying this just to be nice, but this is genuinely the only UFC-related podcast I watch and enjoy. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that, Konstantinos. We try to do the best we can. Every week we put our all into it. We do the research, we watch the film, and we try to give the best videos that we can and the best takes that we can. All right, let me see here. When it comes to content, would you guys do stuff like GOAT list or current best strikers, grapplers, or mainly sticking to fight breakdowns and analysis? Would you like that kind of content? We've never dabbled in that kind of content. We've always done the deep dives and the fight analysis, the recaps. We'll touch on current events when there's big things in the news. If you would like that, we can certainly work on doing some stuff like that. I would enjoy making videos like that. And then I think Amasov's the dark horse, but I hear you still. Yes, yeah, Yaroslav Amasov's he's live too for sure. All right, here we go. We're in the fight now. 4 minutes, 51 seconds left in the first round. Couple of leg kicks exchanged. Look at the leg size for Zhang. Body kick for Zhang. These guys are mixing it up in the pocket right out of the gate. They're kind of exchanging leg kicks. Both these guys got some tree trunks on them. Look at these legs, man. Big shots out of the gate. Minfield swinging heavy. Zhang seeming to handle it well. Some deep breaths out of Zhang, though, already. I don't like that. We're less than a minute in. Knee to the body for Zhang. Another knee. They're kind of working an over-under position, and Minfield now has Zhang up against the cage. Okay, we have double unders for Alonzo Minfield here. Do you think he's going to try to work a takedown? Okay, no. Zhang was able to swim back in. Nice job to pummel there by Zhang, but he's breathing really heavy, man. Something is up here because he's exhausted 1 minute into the fight. I do not like the body language out of Zhang here as far as breathing heavy is concerned. So, okay, Zhang looking to pummel that right hand, the close hand in as well to get double unders himself. Minifield's not having it. Couple knees to the body for Zong. Let's see how he reacts on the break here. Still breathing really heavy. Okay, Zong does have the double unders now, clasping both hands and turning position. Nice reversal there by Zong. Holding Minifield against the cage. They're exchanging some knees again. Zong looking to fight his way into the top 15 here. Minifield's got that 15 number. Zong looking to take it. So we still have double unders for Zong. Another shoulder strike there by Zong. Couple of knees. Just really kind of the exchanging of knees here. Nothing of substance. Goddard's starting to lose his patience with this position, telling him to work here. Ooh, big elbow by Zong, but Minifield comes with some big shots, some big hooks and uppercuts landing for Minifield. Both guys landed in the pocket. They are trading in the pocket right now. Trading at boxing range. Both guys landing, but I'd say Minfield's getting the better of these exchanges. Zong's wearing them well, though. And back to the clinch. Wow. Minifield looking for a takedown now. Good exchange there. Fun exchange there. Both guys ate some shots. I think Minifield definitely got the better of that exchange. And Zong back to the heavy breathing again. So Minifield sort of leaning against Zong in a little bit lower position than he was. Now he's kind of coming back up a little bit. Zong got the whizzer on the far right side, pummeling the underhook under on the left, probably looking to reverse position here in a minute again. He's got some pretty big welts on his legs. Some of those kicks from Minifield definitely did some damage. Nice elbow in the break there by Zong. He was able to break that clinch position with a really nice elbow over the top. Good beat the kick there for Alonzo Minifield. Saw the kick coming and beat him there with a straight. Nice hook for Minifield. Ooh, Zong is kind of walking into these. Minifield with the big shot over the top. Oh, and he knocks Zong down. We have a knockdown. Ooh, Minifield looking to finish this fight here. If I was Minifield, I'd create some distance. Wow. Minifield lands a huge uppercut and then a huge reverse rear hook. That is all she wrote. Mark Goddard is in. Alonzo Minifield. Pat Barry wasn't lying when he said Alonzo Minifield is a new and improved version. You're going to see it tonight. How about that? Wow. We were all wrong, guys. I had Zong winning, and I think everybody in the chat did. Embarrassing. Wow. Thank God I didn't put a bet on him. Holy SHITTT. Zong is a fraud. Yeah. That is kind of the deal, right? So that was a beautiful jab there. Look at this finishing sequence. Overhand, but that didn't hit. Uppercut here by Alonzo to an overhand, or to a straight rather. Beautiful hook on the break there. So it was basically an uppercut to an overhand, modified overhand straight to a lead hook. The lead hook was what put him down, and then a couple shots on the ground. Goddard had seen enough, stepped in. All she wrote. 0-6 for China tonight. And so that's not going to be a good night for China if Song Yadong loses to Davison. That would be pretty disastrous. I do think they're going to end on a high note. I think Song's going to win, but imagine if he didn't. And I said, Zong, easy money. Yeah, that's MMA for you, right? There is no easy money in MMA. It's just when you think you know, you don't know. Wow. So, yeah, Zong, tough go for him. You know, he was kind of set up to make his run into the top 15 tonight, defeating a name that most people know, somebody who had a number next to his name, and in his home country just couldn't rise to the occasion. Now we know where Zong belongs at light heavyweight. Horrible fight IQ, but he's 27. He can come back from this. Yeah, being young in the bigger weight classes, you definitely can come back. He's just got to go. I didn't like the angles he was using on the feet. I didn't like the fact that, neither one of them really was trying to establish a dominant position and start the cage cut. They were just kind of ignoring the cage positioning and throwing down. There was a little bit of inexperience on both ends, but Alonzo Minfield does have more experience. And he was better in the pocket tonight. This thing was all about pocket exchanges because there was a couple of clinches. Both guys landed some pretty insignificant shots in those clinches, except for Zong landed one nice elbow over the top, which created that last separation. But the story here really was the pocket striking, and Alonzo Minfield had way better in the pocket striking than Zhang Minyang did tonight. So here we go. We got Mark Goddard in the cage. He is going to be announcing Alonzo Minfield as the winner, and then we will hear what Minfield has to say, and then we will, how many more packs do we have in here? 3. We will rip 2 packs in between this fight and the main event, so we can rip one after the main event. And then, it is 8:11 here on this sunny Houston morning. The day is just getting started. All right. Bisping is with Minfield right now. Bisping saying short fight, but while it lasted, really good stuff out of Minfield. We've got the translation going on for the fans right now. Minfield saying when he got into the sport, he was known for quick knockouts. He puts them out quick, and he's trying to get back to those ways. Yeah, saying he got him out of there in true Alonzo Minfield fashion. Translation going on right now. Let's see what Bisping has to say next. Bisping saying that Zhang is very dangerous in the first round. He's won all of his fight. He's won the first round of all of his fights, but Minfield was able to get him out of there in the first round. What are his thoughts on that? Rough morning for Asia, 2-8, and overall 0-6 for China. Yeah, really not good. Not good. And the Chinese sports departments and such that are putting this fight on are not happy. They pride themselves in their athletics, and when they put on events in their country, they don't like to lose. And 0-6 is not pleasing anybody tonight. Let's just say that. I think Zhang actually has more fights, but Minfield has legit UFC experience. Yes, the UFC experience is what I'm talking about there. So Minfield is, more of a vet against high-level competition. Let's just say that. So Minfield saying he's got to take care of his family, his wife, his kids, fighting for his family. Got to respect that. Let's see if he's going to ask for the bonus. So, yeah, what do you guys think? Obviously, I'll go back and watch the undercard after we wrap here. That started at 3 a.m. my time, I think 2 or 3 a.m. So, obviously, I didn't catch the early fights, but was that knockout of the night? Is that finish of the night, or was there a better one on the undercard? Let me know. All right. Minfield wants a top 10 next. Minfield said, I want a top 10 next. He's going to come back and train. He'll take down whoever's in the top 10. Yeah, that's a good call out. Let's see. Let's do a little matchmaking, shall we? So, light heavyweight. We've got, aside from the champion Carlos Ulberg, Big Ank at number 1. He's got a fight coming up with Khalil. Alex Pereira, who's obviously gone from the division. Yuri Prohaska at 3. Blachowicz, Roundtree 5. Hill 6. Paulo Costa 7. Mirzakhanov at 8. Volkan Ozdemir at 9. Bogdan Guskov at number 10. You could do like a Bogdan or a Volkan, a 9 or a 10. That would be fun. I don't know offhand if either one of those guys has a fight lined up right now. We got Valentina Shevchenko in the audience tonight. So let's see here. Let's rip 2 of these packs. What do you say? Let's wait for this main event on this beautiful Houston morning. All right, this is the Topps Chrome 2026. So far, we've had some good success of these. We got a Mario Pinto rookie card right here. And we've got Nasruddin Imavov. Should be fighting for a title soon. We'll see what happens at 185, won't we? We've got a Daniel Marcos. And we've got our insert of this pack. We've got a Global Warriors Diego Lopez. Got himself a big fight at the White House coming up. That one's pretty cool looking. And a rookie card, if you can believe it. The 38-year-old rookie, Patricio Pitbull. That's kind of interesting, a rookie card for a guy of his age. You don't see that all that often. Having a rough go in the UFC, I'll be honest. And we got a guy that I'm a fan of and also a rookie card, and I'm glad to see him making the move down to Florida to take a move to a real more serious camp, Mr. Malcolm Wellmaker. So we got him as a rookie card. I like that. Danny Barlow. And one of my favorite bantamweights and one of the most underrated, in my opinion, Mr. Mario Bautista. Cool. Let's see. Heavyweight went from being worse than light heavyweight to being better all in the span of a year. Light heavyweight is such a bad division now. Yeah, it's not great, is it? And with Alex being gone, it's not. It's even worse. It's even tougher. I am excited for Big Ank versus Roundtree. I do think that's going to be a good fight. If Khalil can win, maybe some interesting things can happen. I do like Khalil. He said he's not losing another fight for the rest of his career in an interview that I saw recently of Khalil Roundtree. He said that you have seen him lose for the last time. So interesting, and I can't wait to see if he can actually, pull off an upset against Ankalaev. But when you look at the division, right? So you have Magomed number 1. What is Khalil number 5? So Khalil would clearly be the number 1 contender with a win. Hard to not give Magomed another title shot if he beats Roundtree. Alex is irrelevant in the division. So basically everybody moves up a position. Not irrelevant in total, but because if he loses, I think he's coming right back down. But maybe not. Maybe he stays up and fights a Josh Hokett or something. Maybe Josh Hokett has to answer for that Chama on your mama. So we'll see. But I'm interested to know what you guys think. If Alex loses to Gane, does he go back down to light heavyweight or does he stay at heavyweight? Jan Blachowicz is still hanging tight at number 4. I don't know when Jan's return is going to be. I know he had to pull out of a fight for an injury and I think had to have surgery. So I don't know when Blachowicz is coming back offhand. Jamal Hill. Yeah, when you have Jan Blachowicz, Jamal Hill, these are all top 5, 6 guys. It's kind of light at the top, isn't it? So we need some people to insert themselves as real contenders at light heavyweight to make the division fun again. So here we go. Thank you guys all for joining the chat, by the way. This is fun. Another 6:30 a.m. Live stream. What is it? 8:18 a.m. now. We've been going for just under 2 hours. And we will continue to go until the main event is over. We're seeing some B-roll now of Song Yadong landing some ground and pound shots. Anybody picking Davison in this one? Let me get this this image off, and let's get the main event image cooking. There we go. Now I'm going to put another poll in the chat here on YouTube. Feel free to engage in it. Who wins the main event of UFC Macau? Song or Figgy? All right. Let's see. I'm interested to see who you guys, if any of you guys are taking Figgy here. There we go. I'm half Brazilian. I'd love to see Figgy win, but I highly doubt it. Yeah, I mean, Figgy was a great champion, right? And good 125er. Maybe top 3, maybe 5 all-time 125ers. But, at 38 years old, competing at bantamweight, I think it's a tough go for him. He can hang around for a couple more years, but we know the lighter weight classes are never kind to people that are pushing 40. So let's see what happens. But I'm taking Song Yadong to win this one. Do you guys think? I mean, Davison's hard to get out of there. And originally, when I made my prediction on this fight, I said decision for Song. But then, kind of thinking back, it is 5 rounds and not 3 for the main event. I could see a late finish for Song Yadong. He is powerful. So let's see what happens here. Alex, Rakic, and Walker have all went up to heavyweight. Costa still wants to fight at middleweight. Jan is injured. Hill is still recovering, I believe. Olberg is injured. But at least we have Whitaker moving up. Yeah, that's a great synopsis, right? Because I forgot, I forgot that Alexander Rakic had moved to heavyweight as well. So heavyweight's getting more fun, but light heavyweight's suffering at the expense. I don't think Costa's going to fight at middleweight, though. I like Costa at light heavyweight. I think that he looked really, really good in his first outing, and I really don't see any reason why he would go back to middleweight. I think the best fights for him are at light heavyweight. I think the person that he wants to fight most, and Khamzat Chimaev, is coming to light heavyweight. And if he's not, he's just fighting Sean Strickland again. He's not fighting Paulo. So, I think his best chance to get the Khamzat fight is to stay where he's at, and then Khamzat will eventually move up. So, yeah, I don't see any reason why Costa would go up to or go back down, rather. Sorry. Costa looked great against the Hushin. Yes, he did. And that guy was undefeated, all striking, good power, and Costa took it to him. So credit to Paulo Costa. He's looking good at 205. I mean, he's a gigantic guy. I can't believe that he can even compete at 185. And so I think he needs to be up there at light heavyweight, mixing it up with the best in the division. I think that's where his best chance to win a belt is at this point in his UFC career. All right, we got Davison Figueiredo walking out now, draped in the Brazilian flag with his signature red streak through his hair. Getting ready to get the once over by the referee here, and then we will have the blue corner in the cage. Laura Sanko saying that Figgy said to her that he's still obsessed with the game and still wants to chase that belt. He still believes he has it in him. You got to respect that. Guy's a fighter, man. The god of war. But, 38 years old at bantamweight, it's very, very difficult. Let's see here. A split 50-50 for the vote. Yeah, Jay, look at that. 50-50. We got some Figgy takers in the chat. I love it. If he keeps fighting like this, he will be one of the most entertaining fighters. Yeah, I agree. Costa's firing right now. Khamzat Strickland round 3 will forever leave me perplexed. Damage is king, and when the round is close, you should reward it to the champion who broke the challenger's nose. But that's just me. Yeah, I haven't watched that fight in a couple of weeks. I've watched it once since the fight happened. I need to go back and watch round 3 specifically again. I mean, I think the scorecards were 3-2 either way. I think you can make a case for 3-2 Sean or 3-2 Khamzat. I had a lot of Khamzat people in the comments when we did the recap on that saying that they thought it was 4-1 Khamzat or 5-0 Khamzat. And I think that may have just been a little bit of, personal bias coming through. But, scoring the third round for Khamzat Chimaev is not an outrageous thing to do. And I think you can make a case that Khamzat won 3-2. But I think, Sean, to say that Sean won 3-2 too is also not a crazy scorecard. Let's see. I'm not really that hyped to see Strickland fight unless there's drama or trash talk. Yeah, and that's what it seems like. Nasruddin is taking that route, right? Because he wants the next title fight, and he saw, Sean get that over him against Khamzat. And, so Nasruddin is now kind of setting his sights on Khamzat, saying there will be no handshake at the end of this. This is going to be nasty. This is going to be bad blood. So I think he realizes that as well, that in order to really get that excitement and those juices flowing and the masses want to see you fight Sean Strickland, you kind of drum up some drama with him. And that's where, people get excited about the fight. And then those fights that you want get made. Yeah, 5-0 is kind of crazy because the second round was clearly Strickland. Yeah, exactly. But, Hamzat has his fan base that are going to, say stuff like that regardless. And I'm a Hamzat fan. I'd like to see the guy right the ship and kind of change. There's a few pieces to the puzzle that if Hamzat fixed, I think he could really be great. And he could be a champion that could reign for a little while. But it's TBD whether he'll do it or not. But his rabid fan base is going to say he won every fight, regardless of, what actually happened in the cage. And yeah, 5-0 is just a perfect example of that. I had a lot of people told me that Hamzat won that round 5-0, even including the second round where Sean, I think, had 3 minutes of control time. So Strickland 100% won round 2 and 5. 3 is debatable, but I had Sean winning that as well. So as close as so close fight, but far from a robbery. Yeah, robbery to me is not even in the in the realm here. I don't think it was a robbery either way. And if they had given it to Hamzat, I wouldn't have said it was a robbery of Strickland either. To be fair, but I guess round 3 is what I got to go rewatch. I will do that. I will do that after we log off here. I'm going to go watch round 3, Sean Strickland, Hamzat Chimaev, and on the next live stream, I will have my assessment. So next week, when Bilal Muhammad fights Gabriel Bonfim, I will let you guys know who I think won round 3 of Hamzat versus Strickland. All right, we got the red corner walking out now. Song Yadong. Let's see here. Any more in the chat? Got a commercial that popped up on my end. So far, 50-50 still in the chat. You guys are torn on this one. We got some Davis and takers for sure. I like it. I don't think a rematch does well. They exposed to the world that they faked the beef and it was all a show. Yes, I agree. They opened up the curtain and showed us how the sausage was made. And that's a problem, right? Because we're not going to believe it again. It's like I didn't believe it the second time when Conor fought Dustin. Because the third time technically that Conor fought Dustin, but the two after Conor became this mega superstar. And they talked a lot of smack way back in the day when they were both up and comers. And then they were like best friends the second time around. Conor gave a proper 12 bottle to Dustin at the weigh-ins. Dustin gave him some hot sauce. They hugged each other. They had a smile. And that's so opposite of what we knew out of Conor, right? All those years. And so I was like, okay, these guys are actually friends. And then the whole, like, your wife is in my DMs and all that started. And it's like, okay, you guys just fought and you were friendly and it ended and you were friendly. And now for the third installment, all of a sudden there's a beef. I felt like it was a little bit manufactured. And it was the only time in my period of watching Conor fights where I felt like a beef was manufactured. And when you feel like it is, it kind of takes the luster away a little bit. Let's see. Hamzat has amazing striking and wrestling, but he struggles to mix it up. He should have had Sean biting on takedown feints all 5 rounds. Yes, the mixing of it is where he has the problem. And he seems to have this weird mental blockage where he thinks that he's going to gas out. And so he doesn't go for it in the moments that he should go for it. I really would love to see him fix that. Let's see here. People only brought into it because they promoted it as a real blood feud against an undefeated Russian. Yeah, and they sold it. Those two guys sold it. Let's see. We will find out on Saturday night. Yes, we will. Next Saturday, I will let you guys know. Hamzat has decent striking, but far from amazing. Come on, bro. Yeah, I mean, his bread and butter is wrestling, no doubt. I would classify Hamzat as a good striker, not a great striker, not an elite striker, but not a bad striker. And he does have power. We've seen him put guys out. His head movement could be better. But I think mixing it up, and I do like what you said about who was that said that? Corona, about the feints. Yeah, the feints that's a part of the game he really needs to work on. To me, it's one of the most underrated parts of this game. Feinting is equally as important as the strike itself. If you can't set up the strike with something, everybody in the UFC is too good to just get hit with a shot that they see coming from a mile away. Work your feints, even feint with your eyes, feint with your head, move it down, feint the jab, move your hip. Think about how Izzy did it. So some of the best feinters in the game today, Izzy, Sean Strickland, actually, with the way he does it with the boxing. Alex Pereira is money with the feints, and so is Cyril Gahn. That's why I'm really excited for that fight. And, Sean O'Malley, actually, to be fair to Sean, is very, very good with the feinting. If you watch him, he will basically feint as much or more than he throws, but he throws immediately after he sees the exposure on what you do on the feint. He'll feint. If you bite on it, he'll throw. He wastes no time. O'Malley does that really well. A lot of people don't want to give him credit for it because they don't like Sean, but he's a very, very good feinter, very good striker. Let's see, but I think he out-jabbed the king of jabbing in Strickland. Let me see. Again, Song would chin me easily, but I don't buy into the fight of him being a future champion. Yeah, I mean, I think he's a ways away from being a future champion. He's still a young guy. Let's see here how it goes. But here we go, guys. Round one, Davison versus Song Yudong. I will let you know when it starts on my end. Here we go. Fight started. So when I see the clock, 4:57 left in round number one, if you want to lock in with where I am. Davison leaned back, wide stance as usual. Song Yudong walking down, sort of playing with that jab hand to sort of feel for range. Look for Song to throw some outside leg kicks. Davison's in that wide stance. So far, Song doing a decent job of walking Davison down, but Davison's circling well. He is circling into the power of Song. He's circling to the power hand. So we'll see if Song can set something up big there. And Davison has switched stances now, fighting out of a southpaw stance. He did come out ortho. Again, leaning way back. It's hard to, no real strike of significance has been thrown so far. Their heads are so far away from each other. One, they're in opposite stances right now. And then two, Davison leans so far back that their heads are probably a good 3.5 feet from each other. So, look for them to work some leg kicks to work their way in, or to see if Song will jab his way in here. Song is, right now is winning the foot battle. The front foot is on the outside of Davison Figueiredo's, which kind of gives him the power advantage down the middle. It would be difficult for Davison to land a power shot with Song's foot on the outside because of the angle and the orientation. So good outside leg kick by Song there. Really nothing much going on in this fight so far. 90 seconds in. Has Figgy thrown a punch back? I don't think so. We stand an exhausted king. Chama to your mama. Chama to yours, Aaron. Thank you for joining the live chat, my friend. Good to see you. Okay, there we go. First real strike of significance was a straight lead 2 by Song Yudong. Landed, but not flush. I don't think Figgy has thrown a punch yet. I think he's thrown one outside leg kick, if I can recall. But we are 3 minutes almost into this fight, and there's been nothing of significance. Outside leg kick by Song. Nice body kick by Davison there, actually. He timed that well. Song was loading up on a 2, and Davison timed that body kick as Song was coming in. Song's doing a decent job of walking Figgy down, but he's got to put something behind it. He's got to put some jabs out there. Nice outside leg kick. Song's starting to throw a little bit more now, but Figgy looking for a big shot over the top. Change stances there temporarily, and now he is back to ortho and then back to southpaw again. 2 minutes and 9 seconds left in the round. So far, anybody's round. Definitely the octagon aggression goes to Song. He's landed the bigger leg kicks. Figgy landed a nice punch in that exchange. It looks like there may be some blood on the nose of Song. He may have connected with that step hook that he did. Nice body jab there for Song Yadong. Figgy looking for a takedown, stuffed immediately by Song. Figgy looks like he's just going to try to counterpunch this whole fight. He's going to lay back and try to win this off a big shot, big counterpunch, or try to get a takedown. It seems he looks like he may want to wrestle a little bit tonight. In on a single is Figgy, stuffed by Song. So far, really nothing doing on the takedown attempts from Figgy. Song Yadong hip feinting there, but really nothing. You know, this is what we were literally just talking about this as far as feints are concerned. The biggest thing about the feint is they're super important and you need to use them to set up the strikes, but you have to strike after you feint. You need to feint, get the read on what your opponent, how they react to it, and then strike accordingly. If they bite on it, if you're feinting a high kick to the head and they raise their guard up super high, throw a body hook. You know, if they drop their hands low, then you can actually let the head kick rip. So it's the feints are to see what your opponent does and to try to freeze them in the moment. And it drives me crazy when guys feint, but then they don't do anything after the feint. Like you got your opponent to move, and that's but where was the follow up shot? So looks like we're ending the round. 17 seconds left with a slip for Song Yadong, which Figgy jumped on top in the guard position and is now on top of Song Yadong. So let's see. Song round one. That's probably likely. Pretty pedestrian round one. Agreed, Jay. Figgy said he would get a 4th round finish. So let's see. He's got 3 more rounds to do it. Imagine China goes 0-7, Asia 2-9. Yeah, that would not be a good day there. Has Figgy thrown a punch yet? Let's see. Constantinos. I still think O'Malley is slightly better striker than Jan because you have to count in the power as well. Yeah, it depends on how what you prioritize in the striking. If you're looking at like a full striking game, like a Muay Thai from elbows to clinch to kicks to knees, I'd say Jan has the advantage. I definitely think Sean's feinting and boxing is better than Peter Jan's. But overall, man, that's close. I think I may edge it to Jan, but I could see a case for O'Malley. Let's see, Aaron, yeah, Chamati, oh mama. I love that. Dude, that's becoming such a saying here on the channel. Am I right, New Jersey? But Song just isn't that elite for top 5. Yeah, he doesn't look like top 5 material. Who do we need to get the round to? Nothing really happened. 1-0 Song. Yeah, I think I've got Song. He landed the bigger leg kicks. He had the octagon aggression there. It was a slip for Davison to end up on the top to end that round. So it wasn't like Davison scored a takedown. So yeah, I think ever so slightly Song, but you never know. This is in China too, so that is worth saying. And they are needing some help tonight. So again, Song out, trying to cut the cage on Figgy, but yeah, see, Figgy able to slip around and then gain the inside position. That was not great octagon control there by Song Yadong. He had better control the first round. Now nobody's really fighting for that Okay, Figgy's circling back into the outside. Again, I want to see Song go on some of these moments. I'd like to see him capitalize on having his opponent. There we go. Okay, there's a straight 2. Figgy looking for something there. Song saw it and then daps him up, gives him a high 5. Song Yadong. Figgy with a 1-2, nothing doing there. Again, not much going on in this. Not much going on in this fight. Horrible spinning back elbow feint by Figgy. Yeah, I agree, Jay. I could see that one coming from my living room. All right, some jabs are starting to go for Song here. Figgy throwing a jab of his own, not connecting. But yeah, these guys got to pick up the pace a little bit here. Figgy circling again, circling to the power side. Song should take advantage of that. Throw a big body kick. Keep him in the middle of your range. Keep him sort of squared up in front of you. Song's just allowing him to circle out to the power. when you should, take advantage. When somebody's circling to your power hand and your power kick, make them pay for it. Throw a body kick, throw a head kick, throw even a lead rear hook. You have to do. If you think about Alex Pereira, right, the way that he keeps people in his, in his V is what we call it at our gym. Like, don't let him out. If he comes this way, Alex has got the hook. If he comes this way, you got the overhand, you got the body kick. But Song is just allowing Davison to walk to the power side with no consequence. Is Figgy fighting or just happy to collect that former champion show money? Maybe there's an element of that to it as well, because we're almost 10 minutes into this fight, and I don't think he's even thrown a strike per minute on average. So this is pretty lackluster. Okay, nice straight two by Song Yadong there. I'd like to see Song take the fight to him a little bit more. Figgy obviously is not wanting to engage much. He's going to look to counter, but you gotta make him pay. When you got him against the cage like this, you've done the work to back your opponent up. Why are you not capitalizing and seizing the opportunity? Beautiful calf kick by Song Yadong there. You see that when you throw those kicks and you keep somebody within your, there you go. There's that overhand I'm looking for when he's circling. Now throw a body kick in with that, and you're able to kind of keep your opponent trapped against the cage. Rear or lead hook for Davison, nothing doing. That Song saw that coming from a mile away. Davison looking for another takedown. Song immediately reverses, throws a head kick. Back in the center of the cage. Looks like Davison may be willing to mix it up a little bit more here. Outside leg kick for Davison Figueiredo. He's fighting like Cheeto, yeah. Yeah, just the volume is just not there whatsoever. Really for either guy, but certainly for Figgy. But you got to think, if they're talking Song for a potential title fight, the way Figgy's fighting, the fact that he's almost 40, like you can't just fight in your home country to a lackluster decision against a 38-year-old fighter who's really doing nothing and expect to get a title shot. So he needs to take that into consideration, because it's style points matter in the Paramount era. How you win matters. And, just look at how many people are calling for Carlos Prates to jump Ian Gary for a title shot, even though Ian's got the win over him. So that should tell you all you need to know there. The fact that Max Holloway is the one fighting Conor McGregor and not Charles Oliveira, that should tell you everything you need to know about what they think about. Oh, wow. That's it. Tap. Guillotine finish for Song Yadong. No way. Wow. Man, that was so quick. Oh, wow. Damn, Song almost went head first over the cage. Song Yadong by guillotine. BJJ black belt, my ass. Yeah, he tapped quick. I mean, the guillotine is not even one that I think, Jay, I think I kind of tend to agree with you now after seeing that. Listen, I'm no BJJ black belt. I've trained for many years, but if I'm at an open mat on a Sunday morning, I'm fighting that guillotine for longer than Davison Figueiredo just fought that guillotine. So you got to think that when you're in a main event slot and you get put in a guillotine and you're a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, that you're going to do a little bit more effort, or put forth a little bit more effort to get out of that position. So yeah, not a great look for Song there. We'll go ahead and end that poll. Let's see. Yeah, totally quick tap there. Let's rip one of these cards before they give the final interview of the night. And then we will rip the last pack. We got 2 more to go. Oh, here we go. We got a guy who's fighting next week, Bilal Muhammad. Remember the name. And we just saw her on screen a few minutes ago. Chinese fighter Zhang Wei Li, raising her hand after winning the belt. And here we go. Everybody's new favorite fighter and all the streamers' craze, Arman Sarukian. Oh, cool. We got one of these Allen and Gunther 2025s, but this one is Du Bronx, Charles Oliveira. I like that one. And we got a champion, Mr. Tommy Aspinall. And this guy, one of my dark horses for bantamweight, I do think this guy can make some real waves at bantamweight. Alessandro Topuria. The brains behind the Topuria operation, from what I hear. He's put his own career on hold to help his brother, so you got to respect that. And then we got Chris Padilla. And to round it out, we have Peyton Talbot, another contender at 135. So let's hear what Song Yadong has to say. Let's rip our final pack of the night. And then Nick and I will reconvene. We will sit down and we will record for you guys a recap of this. And then we are getting straight into the deep dive. We did the deep dive of Cyril Gane versus Alex Pereira just, when was that? 2 days ago. And early next week, or early this week, I should say, we are going to do the deep dive of the main event, Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje. We'll break it down from a striking, grappling, and intangibles perspective. If you haven't checked those out, definitely check them out. Let's hear what Song Yadong has to say. Okay, translation happening right now. Let's see if Song is going to address the crowd in English or Chinese. Okay, Song speaking Chinese to the crowd, addressing the crowd. I looked away for 10 seconds and missed it. He tapped so quick. Yeah, Aaron, that was a quick tap. Song winning by submission is more impressive than getting a KO, but definitely would have preferred to see that in the ladder instead. Yeah. Nice win, but hopefully he can carry this momentum against a top 5 guy. That's the biggest thing for Song. He's got to beat somebody in the top 5. Song saying it's time. This is his time now. He's ready to make a run. Bisping saying that was a classic team alpha male guillotine. That is true. So let's see. Davison shoots double leg head on the outside. Song gets that guillotine inside. Man, he didn't even look like he had that tight. So I guess he hand clasped. That was more of a trach choke than a guillotine. I mean, it was a guillotine, but you know, a guillotine where you bring your elbow in, that's going to put you to sleep. A guillotine like this, where you're just pulling, that's like a trach choke. So you're basically just like pulling against their esophagus, and it's no fun. It sucks. I've been put in that many, many times, but I have fought out of it for longer than Figgy just tried to fight out of that. So when you're in a main event slot and you're a former UFC champion, you got to fight a little more than that. And here and now, insta quit. Thank you for joining the live chat. Yes, that was an insta quit. I wasn't happy with that. So what do you do with Figgy here? Is it time for Figgy to wrap him up? I mean, he didn't really come to fight tonight, to be honest. He didn't throw much of anything. He shot a few takedowns. When he got put in a hairy position with a guillotine, he tapped. So I think it's time for Davison to probably call it a day if he's going to continue to fight like that in the UFC. I don't like to see former champions just kind of fizzle away, you know. But he is on a good contract because of the fact that he was a former champion. He had some defenses, so he makes money. And so I understand he shows up and collects a paycheck, and I get that. But I don't know how many more times the UFC is going to have an appetite to see that. Song Yadong is fired up, addressing the crowd. Time for Figgy to be fed to some young, hungry contenders. Didn't deserve to fight Umar or Song. Yes, that's probably what they'll do with him. They'll start to give him some up-and-comers. So if you're like, dude, if you're going to stick around and we got to stroke a big paycheck for you because you're a former champion and you're going to fight like that, you're getting the worst. Like, how about an Alexandre Topuria? That's a perfect fight for Figgy. If you're going to stick around and you're going to fight, how about a guy that's not going to allow you to stay on the outside and pick your shots? And, you know, you throw one shot per minute, if that. Topuria, I think Alexandre Topuria might be a perfect matchup for Figgy because he's probably still going to have a number next to his name. So let's look at the rankings. What was he? Figgy was number 7. So he's probably not going out of the top 15. So I say Alexandre Topuria, if he wins his next fight, feed him to Davison and make Davison earn that paycheck, because I can guarantee you Alexandre Topuria is not going to allow him to just move around the outside and throw one shot every 2 minutes. Official VOR, I'd like to see Figgy retire. Yeah, it's either that or feed him to the young contenders. Figgy took no damage and tapped quick. He didn't want to fight, it seems. Yeah, I agree with you, Jay, 100%. That's why I say give him to, excuse me. That's why I say give him to Topuria, because Alexandre needs a big win on his record. You get him a former champion, I think he would dust him. He would take the fight to him. He wouldn't allow him to, just sort of move around the outside and be lackluster. So to me, Figgy looked unbeatable until the first Moreno fight. Yep. Isn't Alexandre going to fight Kyler? Yeah, I think I'm talking about after. I think that fight's coming up soon, if I recall. So if he wins that fight, maybe towards the end of the year, book him versus Figgy. Alexandre is sick. Yeah, I agree, Konstantinos. He's just as fluid and slick with the movement as Ilya is. Not quite as powerful, but a lot of people say that he's the brains behind that operation, and he's the one that really is managing Ilya's career. He was like so confident in his abilities that he was like, you know what? I'm going to take some time off from competing to get you in the UFC. I'll worry about myself later. That's how good and confident he is. Let's rip the last pack of the night. We're getting a lot of Malcolm Wellmakers tonight. I think that's our third Malcolm Wellmaker. And speaking of Ilya, we got an Ilya Topuria here. It's a pretty cool one. This is the last Topps Chrome pack of the night. Global Warriors, Israel Adesanya. There we go. That's a cool insert there. And then we have an Impact insert. Wow. This is a 22 out of 50 champion, Zhang Wei Li. Like that one. That's a great pack. Gold, 22 out of 50. I don't know if you can see it there. Definitely sleeve that bad boy up. And then one of my favorite new bantamweights, Charles Jourdain. Rose Namajunas, another former champion. Mackenzie Dern. And this is cool because I know him, and Nick knows him really well, actually, friendly. Comes and trains with Nick all the time. A rookie card, Michael Aswell, local Houston guy. Had a good fight in the UK against a very tough new prospect as well. I think that was the co-main event, actually, if I recall correctly. So Michael Aswell, yeah, good stuff, guys. Let's see a few of these more comments. No, Figgy is done fighting. He's showing up for paychecks. He tries for a round, maybe a round and a half, and then he quits, especially to a sub take to take as little damage as possible. Yeah, that's basically what he did tonight. In the Sandhagen fight, he took an easy sub. In this one, in the Montel fight, it seemed like he didn't try after 1.5 rounds as well. Just Montel didn't try for the win either. They don't call Israel a global warrior for nothing. Just look at the state of the world. Yeah. Drunk Jitsu, thanks for joining. Figgy needs to fight the guys you think may have something but aren't yet sure after he loses the Alexandre fight. Yeah. He would get knocked out by Alexandre Topuria would be my prediction. But I think, when you have these former champions, they're on big contracts. They get paid big money. And, when they fight like that, they're not really the UFC doesn't look at it as like, oh, this is a return on our investment. This is like a dud in there that we're paying, a big 6-figure check to. So what do? Okay, we'll build the stars tomorrow off of him. Who's a guy that could be a star that will take the fight to Figgy, will not allow him to just move around the outside and do nothing, and will try to brutally knock him out? Alexandre Topuria. That's why I think that fight should be made if he beats Kyler Phillips in his next fight. So, guys, it is now 8:54. I hear my family up downstairs. I'm going to go have breakfast with them. I'm going to chat with Nick. We will get together later today. We will recap this, and we will have an episode out for you, hopefully by today, for sure by the end of the weekend. And and then look out for that deep dive for Topuria versus Gaethje. If you haven't already, go check out our deep dive of Cyril Gane versus Alex Pereira. We did almost 40 minutes going deep into the technique of every aspect that we could see that fight potentially going in. Let us know what your thoughts are on it. Thank you all for joining us today. All the best to you here and now and now and now. Have a good one to you, Konstantinos. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.